Hey y'all, it's your old pal Todd again. So last time, if you remember, we did some very basic stuff just to get started. We installed a code editor and then we wrote our first line of code in an HTML page and we launched that page. It may have been a little exciting and maybe a little scary, but we did it. The thing is, it's not the most exciting thing to do, and what we really want to do is make that page interactive. If it's just some text on a screen, this isn't 1995. That's not very exciting these days. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to introduce you to our good friend, it's been around since the early days of browsers, the anchor tag, or the A tag, also known as the anchor element. And then I'll give you some resources to explore if you're so inclined. Okay? Let's go. All right, here we are back again in Visual Studio Code in our little HTML page that we created last time. And as I promised you, we're going to make this interactive. And the way that we're going to do this is with the anchor element, often just referred to as the A tag. So notice that if I do a space and then I just hit A, it will launch what we call Intellisense in Visual Studio Code. And it gives us a whole bunch of options. I'll talk about that later. For now, we're just going to do a simple anchor tag. So we'll add an A here. And Visual Studio Code automatically closed the tag for us. And the closing you always know because there's a / and then the element. So now that we've got the tag, let's run it and see what happens. And nothing happens. So maybe I'm a liar, and that's not as exciting as I promised. But the reason is that this A tag, or A element, is an HTML element. And elements have what are called attributes. But the anchor element has a particular attribute, and that is the href attribute. And so the first thing we'll do is we'll say we want this to go to google.com. And you'll notice something when we refresh this. We'll see that now this is underlined and we get a pointer. And so that when we click on this, something should happen. But oh no, something bad happened. So what happened is it tried to take us to www.google.com in our local path, because we're just running this in a folder. This is what's called a relative path. So what we need to do is prepend HTTP. You've probably seen this on literally every website ever. And now that we've added that HTTP before the www.google.com, which is the domain name, let's save it. And then we'll go back in the browser and refresh, and it will take you to google.com, which today has a fun Women's World Cup doodle. Next, I want to talk to you about one of the best ways you can find information about this stuff. One of the best tips I ever got in my career, and I'm giving it to you in the second lesson here. This is something you'll always use. Well, the first tip is all experienced developers look things up on Google. So if you feel like you don't know something, welcome to being a web developer or software engineer. It's largely a life of Googling. But if you need to look something up, you can just type it in. We're looking for the A tag. And if you add this MDN to the end, what it'll do is it'll give you, see, this first result is for developer.mozilla.org. MDN stands for the Mozilla Developer Network. And if we click on it, it'll take us to some documentation about the anchor element, and it gives us some great examples here. It gives us all of the attributes that are on the anchor element. So let's look, let's use this documentation, and let me show you. They've got some really good examples here. And you'll notice that there's not just linking to websites that the A tag is useful for, but it's also a lot of times a customer service site will have a click here to send an email, and you click it and it opens your email client. And the other thing now we'll see more and more as we use our phones for websites is we'll see a link for a telephone number so that when you click on it, it'll actually launch your phone to call a number. And so you'll notice that there's a little bit extra syntax in the href for the telephone. It's got a TEL:+. And for email, it'll use the mail to. If we took this out, it will fail. Right? And it gave us a 404 not found because it couldn't find that resource. But if we click on it, your browser says, okay, I'm opening an email. But right now we're going to keep it simple. So we're just going to link to a website. And so we're going to go back to our page here, our very simple page. And one thing that is really going to be helpful here is if we just leave it like this, note it's always just going to open in this tab. And that can be kind of annoying. So what we really want to do is we want to have it open in a new tab. And look, humans are lazy, right? So we don't want to always have to go in here and open a new tab. It's really convenient if we, as the developer, we just make it so that the user clicks on a link and it just opens a new tab. And the way we do that is there's a target attribute. And you add an equal and it's double quotes. And we say _blank. And then we save and refresh. And when we click it, it'll open a new tab. And so that's great. But what we need to add is a rel attribute. And in the rel attribute, we say no opener. It looks like noopener. And no referrer. If you can type like I cannot. So that when we click on this, it opens in a new tab and it's more secure. Now you may remember in the beginning of this, I talked about Intellisense and mentioned we'd get back to something. And I didn't want to get into this because I wanted to explain some of those attributes first. But notice in the Intellisense, when you look at this, it gives us a bunch of options. And this is a shorthand so that if I choose a blank, now all I would have to do is type www.google.com. It's already given me the target equals blank and rel equals no opener, no referrer, right? So this is a nice sort of shortcut to make your life a little easier. There's also mail, which gives us a mail to, and then you may have noticed there's tel for telephone. All right, now you know your first HTML element, the anchor element. It's one you're going to use throughout your career. Hey there, it's your friend Todd. So in this episode, we went into the A tag. We talked about how you can use anchor elements. We also talked about the href attribute, which is sort of the secret sauce of the anchor tag that takes you to other resources on the internet, and also some kind of good practices with the target equals _blank attribute. Next time, I think we're going to get a little bit spicier. We might do a button, and then that might lead us to just a teensy little tiny bit of JavaScript, but we'll see. Okay? Thanks for watching, everybody. And remember, if you liked this, I want you to elbow drop the like button, and I'm still going to put my subscribe button here, and then there's always the one up there. And let's headbutt the subscribe button. I'll talk to you later, y'all. Oh my God, I am such an idiot.